Yo, what is everyone saying? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today I'm going to be bringing you the first of a 5-part mini-series where I go and rank the top 10 Premier League players of all time in each position. Now obviously I'm wearing an Arsenal shirt and that, but just allow me in it. I promise you, if you were there on streams when I was making these lists, you will know I'm very unbiased when it comes to these debates. Of course, first and foremost, I gotta give a massive shout out to Sharky, best podcast on YouTube. He does these videos in a little round table thing. But anyway, cool, boom. Criteria, of course, to rank centre backs from different eras, we have to use certain factors that we look towards, right? Now, first and foremost, it has to be ability, how good you are, simple as that, right? That's the most important thing. We then have, of course, longevity, like obviously how long your peak was. Were you in England for a long time? Was it a couple years where you were great and a bit meaty for the rest of it? Accolades, achievements, trophies, blah blah. You get the point, right? Pretty straightforward. So without further ado, let's get straight into our top 10.
And yo, subscribe right now to Amenyah. I'll come around to see you. If you don't do that, you're in trouble.
You heard the man, innit? You heard the man. What, number 10, I can't lie. This is the only one that I had a tough time with. All my other 9, pretty easy, straightforward, the most accurate list you'll ever see. But number 10 was tough because obviously I'm 24 years, so guys like Steve Bruce and Desai, I wasn't really watching them, or certainly not in their primes. If you want to put them in there, that's fine, I don't mind. I've gone with William Gallas. I think his years at Chelsea were elite, rock solid defender. He came to Arsenal, started off very well, but of course, as you man know, he had that episode where he was indeed crying at the Birmingham game. The whole penalty that Gelclish conceded. I'm not going to go into it because Arsenal fans are going to get PTSD. It's a weird one. My man went to every London team, and I don't think he's really hated per se. At number 9, we have an invincible who goes by the name of Kolo Toure. He wasn't the most flashy player. He wasn't sensational on the ball outside of hitting them long free kicks every now and then. But it goes without saying that to bag a Premier League trophy, invincible, not bare man can say that. I can't lie to you. Not everyone can say that. Arsenal spell was solid throughout. Never our main number 1 CB. But nevertheless, he did his thing. He went to Man City, was still quite cold there. True say, if you're a bit younger, you might know him more from Liverpool days during the whole Steven Gerrard slipped kind of era. He had a lot of years in the tank by that point, so you can allow him that one. That's why he's kind of down there in 9th a little bit. And number 8, it's a little bit controversial, I can't lie to you. We have our only currently active player that makes the top 10. Of course, it's going to be Virgil Van Dyke. Now, that's not to say that he is worse than anyone above him, because he's not. And to be honest with you, in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, he might climb higher and higher and higher. To be honest with you, he can even get number 1. I can't lie, the way he's moving, he could get number 1 eventually. But for now, the 7 people above him, I think they just have something slightly over him. But that being said, he came to Liverpool from Southampton, before that at Celtic as well. People saying, each 75 M's. I don't know about that one, you know, but when you look at other guys paying 80 million for their centre-backs and captains, you start to realise what incredible value that was, innit? Because he's brought them, the Premier League, the Champions League as well. Let's just see what happens and give it a few more years at the top level before we start putting him in the top 3s and 4s. Alright, next we're going to have someone that I think is quite underrated. We're going to have Ricardo Carvalho. Again, if you're a bit younger, you might know him as just a brother that's really slow on FIFA. But my word, in real life, yeah, he was outrageous. Especially as an Arsenal fan, I used to hate going to Chelsea, bro. I think the first game I ever watched in real life, yeah, was Arsenal vs Chelsea at Highbury. Lost 2-0, clean sheet. Those man in Mourinho's first spell at Chelsea were not conceding goals. They were breaking all kinds of records. Least goals conceded, least goals away from home, least goals this, least... Oh, man, it wasn't good. And obviously, he was a big part of that. The reason why he's not any higher, because he could slightly be 1 or 2 places higher, maybe. He didn't feature as consistently as some of the other CBs. So obviously he was here for 5-6 years. He made I don't know, about 20 starts a season in the Prem, which to be honest for a CB is not incredible, right? You want your centre back to be playing 30, 35-ish kind of things. Obviously a couple suspensions here and there, but yeah. Had he stayed a bit longer, maybe he'd be a bit higher, but obviously he went to Real Madrid. Now, this is why I said that Carvalho could go up a little bit, because I think the person in number 6 is a little bit overrated, and that brother's name is Vincent Kompany. Now, please understand, if you're in my top 10, it means you're a fantastic centre-back. I'm not slandering you. But people get a little bit too carried away with this guy. I cannot lie to you. Obviously, yeah, he was at City for time. He was the first piece of the jigsaw in their major rebuild that see them win hella trophies and dominate England for a while. I hear it. However, when do you think of Vincent Kompany and look at him oh, yeah, do you know what? Remember that game where he was outrageous defensively? Remember when he patterned up and locked up my man? You don't really think about that. When you think of Vincent Kompany, you think of that header against United to win the title. You think of that banging long shot against Leicester to win the title. All very iconic goals, by the way, but I don't think he was incredible defensively. In fact, there were many games where he was a liability. Forget about the own goals. That can be unlucky. Man scooping it into his own net versus Fulham and whatnot. Fine. I'm going to put him there because, to be fair, he brings the intangibles, right? Definitely, City with and without Kompany is a very different animal in those years. So, give it credit where it's due. But defensively, I'd take the guys below him over him defensively. I can't lie to you. We are now into our top 5, and I believe we have the last of our somewhat overrated players. Again, not to say they're dead, because I've put them 5th and 6th for a reason, right? But number 5 is someone that people call the best Premier League centre-back of all time, and his name is Nemanja Vidic. When you look up those Premier League strikers here, like the late 2000s era, and go through their compilations, I promise you somewhere in there, you see Vidic just skating on his backside along the grass, left, right and centre, just eating dust constantly. Not just Torres, I know Torres is the bait one. Benjani, Yakubu, all them, man, yeah. Go through their compilations, you will see Vidic somewhere there eating grass. Now again, that's not to say he was bad, he wasn't, but I feel like he was a bit more of a passion merchant than the elitist of elite CBs, right? Like, he was definitely prone to being a bit reckless, a few red cards here and there. But again, that being said, he was fantastic. Don't get me wrong. It's just to say he's the best centre-back ever in the Premier League, it's a little bit much. At number 4, we have another invincible. The brother who, had he made this transfer in 2021, would have broken the internet. A man crossed the North London divide saying, yo, do you know what? I can't lie, my guy. I want to win trophies. And that is, of course, Sol Campbell. It's very simple with this one. No Premier League forward wants to play against my man. To go from Spurs captain to pull up to the correct side of North London and dominate there as well for another few years, win the double, you know how the song goes, is a fantastic achievement. Ended up playing over 500 games, obviously over a couple spells. He came back to Arsenal in like 2009-10, but we don't talk about that one too much. That was like an emergency thing. We were starving, I can't lie. So ignore that few games there. We can't count that one when he's playing alongside Mikel Silvestre and that. We're talking like early 2000s up until like 2006, yeah? That era there, he was outrageous. So yeah, I would say he might be one of the most fearsome CBs you could ever play against. But unfortunately, he just misses out on the top 3. Now, I did say for the sake of fairness that I'm not going to include guys that retired in the 90s or that I wasn't really watching in the fields like that. But I'll make a slight movement for somebody. And this guy did retire, to be fair, in the 2000s. And that brother is Tony Adams. Now, I wasn't watching him with some, pen and paper and notepad out in 2002 when I was 5 years old. But nevertheless, you watch the footage back, you see the things that he achieved. You look how many decades my man was playing for a team that was trying to contest with United for head-to-head for so many years. My man went from the era when they were just smoking cigarette and dashing beer down their throat and that on a regular basis in the morning before games, to now Arsene Wenger coming in saying, you must eat your 5 a day, go and eat some grape and some vegetables. And he was still balling out, still winning trophies. It's that simple. Anyone that can transcend time like that has to be in your list. Now we get to the top 2. I think everyone knows the names by now. If you don't have these 2 as your top 2, your list is wrong. I'm open to discussion about all the others. Maybe he should be up 1, down 1, up 2, down 2. These 2 are the best centre-backs of all time in the Premier League. And I would say by quite some margin. However, splitting the 2 is almost impossible. So, again, I go back to my criteria. Ability, they're both pretty much the same. They can both play on the ball. They can both play on the front foot. They can both play in deep blocks. Left foot, right foot, they're both comfortable. When you look at their achievements, they've got the Premier Leagues in the belt. Some more than others, to be fair. But they've got the Premier Leagues in their back pocket. Of course, the 2 players that I'm referring to are Rio Ferdinand and John Terry. Now, I was speaking with chat, I was going back and forth. Now, he should be first, he should be first. In the end, we applied a bit of personal life tax. I'm not going to say too much. Some guys, their scandals and controversy are a bit worse than others. And secondly, I am black. So, I am going to go with Rio Ferdinand as my number 1 best centre-back of all time in the Premier League. Just about beating John Terry, just ever so slightly. I'll tell you what clinched it. Yeah, okay, forget about that he's black, so I'm black, so I have to back him thing. The thing that swayed it was, if you had to pick one of the 2 to slap into your team right now, in the current modern day era, who would it be? I think you just about take Rio, purely just for the more athleticism, right? John Terry was more of like a reader of the game, playing out at the back, pinging balls and whatnot. Rio Ferdinand was probably the most all-round complete centre-back you can literally create outside of maybe Van Dyke. So yeah, that is my completely unbiased list of my top 10 Premier League centre-backs of all time. Let me know what you thought. Did I have any howlers? Comment your 10 as well. Maybe you might have a better one than me. Maybe you base it on different criteria. It's all about discussions at the end of the day. So yeah, please leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll probably try and make these like every 2 weeks for the next, like, I guess 10 weeks, right? To get 5 videos out. So yeah, other than that, I'll shout you man in a bit.